Okay, so boss fights. LEGO games have boss fights. These games usually have really good boss fights. Except one game. Look, I love this game, but this game easily has the most bizarre, nonsensical boss fights that sometimes completely contradict the source material. This game seems to be obsessed with having every boss fight be some sort of giant monster battle, and unfortunately, a lot of them end up being awful and confusing. And there's one point where this game literally tries to make a boss fight out of a train. No joke, you actually just fight a train. Also, you fight what is implied to be God in one of these games. Yes, this is a LEGO game, and I'm going to be explaining all of these in this video. I had a lot of fun making this video, so I hope you enjoy it. You might be wondering why you haven't heard of these levels before, and that's because they come from a more obscure LEGO game, LEGO Indiana Jones 2. Yes, you fight God in LEGO Indiana Jones 2. This game has a total of 6 boss fights, and because I don't want this video to be like 20 minutes long, I'm going to explain all of these fairly quickly. So let's get started with the first one. So this is the first one, and as you can tell by the title, this is the one where you fight a train. You might not remember this from any of the movies, and that's because the game completely made this up, something it does pretty often. So yeah, these two enemies built a train with cranes on it. Except these two enemies made the mistake of challenging frickin' LEGO Indiana Jones, so obviously he tore through that garbage. Pretty fun level. It's only about 2 minutes long to beat and is pretty creative. This is one of the better ones. I'd say this is a pretty good start even if it makes no sense. On to the next one. Okay, this one is cool. So it starts off with... I don't know how to pronounce his name. This guy tries to take you on in a one-on-one fight, except he must not have noticed that you're playing as frickin' LEGO Indiana Jones, so obviously he gets clapped. Now, in the movie, this guy dies because a bunch of ants drag him underground, which I am not going to show a video of, and that's the end of him. But in this game, it's a little different. Remember when I said this game likes making giant monster fights out of things? The ants realize that teaming up with this guy is the best chance they have of giving Indy a proper fight. So they turn into a kaiju, and I guess that guy is controlling them. And just listen to the sounds in this level, it's really cool. Cool. Anyway, obviously the kaiju stands no chance and it dies, moving on. This is the one where you fight what is heavily implied to be God. And yeah, this is one of the many times where the game completely derails the story just to fit in another monster battle. So the enemy soldiers, who are enemy soldiers and nothing else, find the Ark of the Covenant and try to open it, in hopes that with the power of God, they can stand the slightest chance against frickin' LEGO Indiana Jones. Now, some of you might be aware of the cutscene that plays before this level. If so, you're cool. If not, you know how in the movie, when the enemies open the Ark of the Covenant and everyone dies because God doesn't like people messing with his stuff, and it's one of the most violent scenes out of any PG movie ever? So, they did not do that. Everyone dances, and then they die. Then God himself decides to confront the man who has been tearing through everything that has been thrown at him. This is the best showdown in the entire game. Lego Man wins. And then this lady tries to thank him for his effort. While LEGO Indiana Jones doesn't need to be comforted, he accepts as he doesn't want to be rude. This is by far the most cinematic level in the game. Everyone's panicking, God is looking for a fight, there's epic music playing in the background that I can't play or I'll die. It's a great level. Also, this game seems to have no problem portraying God as a minifigure. The developers at Traveler's Tales really went for it. Anyway, great level, moving on. Yes, it's finally time to talk about this one. Okay, I know it seems like I'm just praising all of these levels, but trust me, this is the last good one. After replaying this one, I have come to the conclusion that this is without a doubt the best boss fight in the game. First of all, look at this guy, I love his design so much. Not only that, but the actual fight is amazing. The monster, whose name is Kali, I had to look that up, makes for a perfect boss. He's so intimidating, short round kills him. It's a shame that you have unlimited lives in this game, because if you didn't, then this level would be genuinely challenging. This is the best boss fight in the game. Moving on, only 2 more. And yeah, these are easily the 2 worst ones. So Walter here decides to seek out this ancient artifact that should give him powers or something. So he finds it, and yep, it gives him powers. Giant monster time. As you might have guessed, this is not how the movie goes. In the movie, he just dies. But in the game, he turns into a big tornado. I can't tell if this is what he wants or not. Anyway, obviously this fool stands no chance against frickin' LEGO Indiana Jones, and so using nothing but his plastic hands and military weaponry from the 1940s, Indy knocks Walter into a ravine and he explodes. Okay, so the actual fight is tedious and just kind of annoying. You can tell the developers are kind of losing their steam at this point in the game. This level definitely feels like the most rushed and nonsensical, but the build-up is cool. You have to make your way throughout this cave. There are a bunch of trials and obstacles that are pretty fun. But apart from that, the level is pretty bad. On to the last one, and easily the worst one. What makes things worse is that the next one is the final boss of the game, and there was a lot of build-up leading up to it. Okay, so stay with me. This lady named Spalko, I can pronounce her name, decides to ask the Skeleton Man for power. Spalko has been built up as the enemy for the entire game, and this level is the one where you finally get to face off against her. Now, the Skeleton Man, aka the interdimensional being, is by far the most powerful enemy in the game, and he decides to give Spalko a fraction of his power. In the movie, the same thing happens, and she just dies. And the game actually decides to stay faithful to the movie. And yeah, she died. Just kidding, she turns into a giant monster. So Indy, with a little help from that lady from earlier, face off against Spalko. And the fight that proceeds, well, first of all, it goes on for way too long. This fight has 3 different stages, as opposed to the 1 stage for all the other fights. And with all these stages, the player is basically on standby waiting for the game to give them an obvious opening. Combine that with the awkward camera perspective and precise jumps, and you're left with what is the most frustrating level. So, as I mentioned, this is the final boss, as well as the final level in the game. So, talk about ending on a sour note. But the cutscene that follows is pretty cool. So yeah, this boss fight was pretty bad. It went on for way too long, and it was nothing like the movie. It's not awful, but it's nothing compared to something like Mola Rampage. I know that I haven't really been giving these levels scores or rankings or anything, but if I were to rank them, it would probably look something like this. Thank you for watching. Okay, bye.